I would like to say good morning to everyone here at Lake Superior Interfaith Community Church and for all those on Zoom. And of course, for those on Zoom, please mute yourselves. And I would like to thank Katri Sipila for being here today. And so I would like to say this little prayer to start with. Thank you, Mother, Father, God, for bringing us all together. As we come together, we open our hearts in gratitude for the space, for opportunity for friendship, and our connection to Spirit. And with this, we say thank you. And I'd like to read this statement of intent. We continue to be fortunate to have a variety of speakers for Sunday services, and by using guest speakers, we gain wisdom from all those who share. This is a church community where we can worship the God of our own understanding, to experience joy, be uplifted, to gain strength and inspiration we can share with others throughout the week. We invite you to join us in this celebration of life, to nourish your spirit and to enjoy the community of kindred souls. I would like to play Let There Be Peace on Earth. So I'll be right over here. Okay, I would like to, maybe we'll start with announcements, and yeah, first Jasmine has an announcement, and then Sue's going to come up here, and thank you.
Good morning. I'm a little taller. First of all, here, let's do this just for a minute. A little more serious announcement first. As many of you may have heard in the news, there were catastrophic tornadoes in Kentucky overnight. There may be as many as 100 people who died, and of course, terrible destruction of property and so on and so forth. So just want to remind us all to hold those folks and their families in our highest love and support to help them get through this. And then want to remind everyone that even though it's a little more difficult to get things here this year, that we are still doing our giving tree. And so in this month, we're collecting warm items for the Chum Shelter, and I brought my visual aids. We're doing hats and gloves and mittens and scarves, but also socks are very highly requested at shelters. So here we have big socks, little socks, red hat, and invisible yet to appear hat. Anyway, so we talked about when people could drop things off, and next Sunday and it's just because we know people will be here for a few hours. Next Sunday, between the hours of 10 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon, we know that there will be people in the building. So if you want to drop off donations that day, please go to the lower door and just set things inside the door. You don't even have to come in if you don't want to. We'll collect them at the end of December. We will get them down to the shelter. Next month, in case you want to pick up some items while you're out shopping, we're collecting items non-food items to donate to the Chum Food Shelf, because the food shelf will distribute non-food items that are donated to them when their clients ask for them. So if someone comes in for their monthly bag of groceries, and if they ask for toothpaste and cat food, if the food shelf has those things, it will distribute them. So next month we're going to be collecting personal care items, very basic: toothbrush, toothpaste, bar soap, shampoo, deodorant, lotion, and also pet products, so that people who have companion animals know that they will be able to, keep and support them. So those things can come to the church. You can drop them off yourself if you choose to do that. But we do want to keep our tradition of giving going this year. So, thank you. They can send money to us. I mean, I do believe that if you send money to Chum Food Shelf, I think the only thing that they use that money for is food. So if you want to donate personal care items or pet products, send a check made out to the church and make a notation to that end, and then one of us would go and do the shopping on your behalf. But yeah, money would certainly work too. Thank you. All right, there we go.
Okay, next, Sue Brewer is going to be giving some announcements, and after that, I will be turning the service over to Sue, as I have to leave to go to work. And I'm sorry, but it's all good, and Sue, it's yours.
Ready?
Thank you, everybody.
I know we get so used to wearing these things, sometimes I forget to take it off. Thank you for being here, everybody. Oh, it's so great to see everybody. I have a few announcements. We've talked about it a couple of times that we wanted to put a suggestion box or bowl, but I made a little box. I bought new shoes this week, so I had an empty shoe box. So trust me, this was harder to wrap than it looks. So anyway, if you have any suggestions, comments, concerns, whatever, I'm going to put this on the back table. There are some pieces of paper back there, but I think that they're for membership, filling out stuff. But we can certainly, there's, in some of the pews, there are some papers in the little things on the back of the pew in some places, but otherwise we can find some paper to put out. So if in case you have any ideas, suggestions, comments, criticisms, what do they call those? Constructive criticisms. Anyway, so that's for that. Prayers. Can somebody please bring up the prayer bowl? I just got a notification from Denise Jackson. She would like prayers for her, was it granddaughter? Daughter Haley needs our prayers. So if we could keep Haley in our thoughts and prayers, along with all of those people who are in such dire straits down in Kentucky and Tennessee and oh my God, I turned on the Weather Channel yesterday and I could not stop watching. I was like, oh, whoa, it's craziness down there. We need to really send some healing, love, and light and lots of help down that direction, as Jasmine also mentioned. Who is speaking next week? Oh, is it our week to have?
Walter Sipila is speaking next week, and the week
Walter?
after that, we have Unity.
Right. So, and then also next week is the general meeting?
No, that's January 9th.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I got it in my head. Anyway, all right. And next week is a board meeting, so if you have any suggestions or ideas for the board, please let us know after that, before that. YouTube. Don't forget to visit YouTube. If you have missed any of our services, we have them on YouTube. It takes a few days to get it uploaded, but it's well worth looking at. All of the people that have spoken, we've had such wonderful speakers in the last year and a half, and that we've been able to record and put out there. If you missed it on YouTube, look at our website. You can find out more about our church on the website. You can also look us up on Facebook. If you have Facebook, we do put out notifications on Facebook. So like when we had to close last week because of the snow, that was out on Facebook too. So there are many ways that you can keep in contact with us, as well as you can give a call to the church. Carol does try to get by as often as possible, pretty much every day. And then also, we have email address. Interfaith on 9th Street at gmail.com. Oh, a 9 is the number and TH. Okay. So that's our email address. Interfaith on 9th, the number 9 and TH street at gmail.com. Okay. So we have coffee today.
I didn't put it, no. There's hot water for tea.
There's hot water for tea, and if anyone's super interested, we can put the coffee pot on, but
Want me to go plug it in to heat it up? I didn't think it.
no, that's all right. Okay, but we'll just kind of try to be mindful of our rules of congregating. One service per month we have dedicated to the unity, and that is coming up on the 26th of December, the first one. We will be doing a Zoom, or not necessarily a Zoom service. Is it going to be Zoom, or is it going to be a live stream that we're putting on? Okay. Okay. So are we going to have the service earlier then? Because okay. Okay, but of the one on the 26th, okay. So, yeah, a unity service, yeah. Yeah, so it'll be Zoom, and it'll be here, so you can watch it from home, it's a recording of a live stream through Zoom. It's complicated. But all three of you on Zoom, you can participate. So it will also be the last Sunday of each month we were going to be putting on something about unity. You can come and watch it on the big screen, and yep, we're going to be projecting on the big screen, and our camera will capture it, and so for those in Zoom land, they can see it that way too. Don't forget, we have Unity Book Study Group on Sunday nights, 6 o'clock at the church, and are there any other prayer requests besides Denise's daughter Haley and the people in Kentucky, Tennessee, and the whole South there, range there? Prayers for a happy week.
Prayers for a happy week.
All right. So I think that's all the announcements I have for today. Prayers to the people in the bowl.
I would like to have Katri come up now, and she has a wonderful talk and presentation. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. Thanks for having me again. This is really fun. I am going to be sharing with you a talk that I'm putting together to bring into the world to share some spiritual tools again. And some of these things I may have shared in past ones, and this is kind of a culmination of spiritual tools and poetry that is also kind of bringing across the same message. And so this talk is called Words Are Creation and the Universe is Listening. Tools to Love Yourself More. I've been playing around with the theme, I think on the bulletin I had it a little bit differently, but so I'm playing around with the title, but all right. When I was little, maybe 3 years old, I was playing in my playhouse, which was a little house that my dad made. He fashioned curtains and furniture and even a roof with shingles that you could go on top of. That day, my best friend Tony and I were playing house, and I decided that the playhouse was dirty. So I went and got the hose. I sprayed the whole house clean Well, I thought it was getting clean. My dad saw it differently, though. He had spent so much time making this playhouse perfect for us, and I had just ruined that completely. I didn't know that what I did was wrong. I didn't understand why you wouldn't want to use water to clean it. I never realized that the wood in the playhouse would then rot and stink from then on out. I was just playing. Thought I was being helpful. I discovered through my healing work that that day was a day that I received some of my programming. Now, any parent would probably not be a huge fan of what I did, and many parents spanked and yelled back then, and it was completely acceptable and understandable to their generation. So I was yelled at and spanked, and that day I formed the belief that my ideas were not good. In fact, I learned that I was bad. Now, this is just a small example of something that stuck with me as a 3-year-old child. I mean, this is not something unreasonable or even that horrible, because back then it was common to spank. Now think back about your life and where you were and who you were around and what you were doing and how you felt daily as you grew up, starting from birth to 7. You can probably get a pretty good idea of where some of your beliefs have come from just by thinking back a little bit about your life. There's a little exercise that I often have my clients do to start the process of uncovering their beliefs. I have them sit down and make a to list. This is an idea inspired by Alan Watts. The first list you're going to make is all about what you know because you experienced it. And the second list you're going to make is all about the beliefs that you know because someone told you. For example, I was told that money was hard to come by from my parents. For me, this exercise really allowed me to analyze what my beliefs were first, creating awareness of them, and more importantly, where they came from. Once you know these two things, it's much easier to address and change them. I was a special education teacher by trade out of college. I taught in Hawaii for 4 years, then returned to Duluth, then married and became pregnant shortly after. When I got back from Hawaii, my first child was 6. 3 years later, I had my second child. 18 months after that, I had my first set of twins, and 2 years later, another set of twins. I remember sitting in my chair as I breastfed for 6 years straight and wondered where everyone went. At one point, I even had to hire help just to get through my day. But my healing journey really began after the tornado of raising babies, and in 2014, when I decided to clean out all of the toxins from my house because of learning the effects it was having on my children's behavior. After my physical detox, I began an emotional detox, starting with EMDR, which is a type of therapy that helps process and file trauma. Through the EMDR process, I learned just how much trauma I had been living through. Honestly, I didn't know that I was living in fight or flight for most of my life due to my childhood and teen traumas. I began to realize just how much had stacked up and how my brain had protected me from it and how it hid it deep in my body. I knew then if I was going to get healthy, it was up to me. Through the EMDR process, things became clearer and clearer. I had further realizations about not only my programming, but my parents' programming, which played a huge role in how I presented myself and how I treated myself. I began to study healing and how to change one's limiting beliefs and learned that all of our programming and beliefs come from birth to age 7. It was really then I began the journey of uncovering, changing, and healing my past. The more I healed, the more I realized the spiritual gifts I have always had but were clouded in trauma. I've also done work in a therapy called IFS, stands for Internal Family Systems. The basis of this is uncovering and learning about the different parts of yourself. For example, parts of me are a warrior, parts of me are a wounded child, and yet parts of me know how connected we all are. And parts of me have this ancient knowledge of how metaphysical things work and about ancient techniques and tools. I've always been drawn to researching esoteric and quantum physics. I began to try out different types of healing modalities. I tried everything on my path. For example, I tried emotion code, family constellations, Akashic records readings, theta healing, frequency of brilliance. I also at one point reached out to a fellow medium. I called him medium to medium, hoping he could get me started and pointed in the right direction. Funny enough, he was the type of medium that could tell a ton about you just by hearing your voice. I think it's called a voice natural direct sensitive. His name was Joe Hu. I told him I thought I was a medium and asked him if he would give me advice on getting started. The next thing he said surprised me, but also made a lot of sense. He told me I had 20 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag, and he wanted me to get a piece of paper. He went on to tell me that what I needed to do was go to the woods. Lucky for me, and very synchronistic, was the fact that I was headed to the woods that weekend with my daughter for Girl Scout camp. He told me to go to the woods and write. And write and write and write and write. Write about every person who ever hurt me, made me angry, made me sad. He then told me when I was done what to say and then burn the paper. Luckily, I was able to sneak away by myself at Girl Scout camp. My co-leader let me take off and go to an empty cabin on the outskirts of camp. That afternoon, I sat in that tiny cabin on a plastic mattress, sweating, and wrote 19 pages. And then, when I felt complete, I headed back to make a fire, say the words he told me, and release it all into the fire. He told me after that that my gifts and healing would either open a trickle or would open the floodgates. For me, it opened the floodgates. I became a Reiki master in 2020 after I taught Reiki 1 and 2 to a group. Finishing my certification in past life regression session healings in July of 2021, it was then I began to truly figure out where I came from, who I was, and what was going on this planet. It all started with listening to Abraham Hicks channelings. At the time, I began to learn that we were more than just a physical body, and began to study energy and the universal laws. Understanding now that we are all just energy and everything is energy. Therefore, everything has a frequency, and everything around you is an echo of the frequency you are sending out. Per the law of attraction, you get more of what you give. I think one of my favorite sayings from Bashard is, "The world is you pushed out." So for example, if you're sending out a signal that you are sick of your job, the universe will send you more things to be sick of in your job. Additionally, and even to a greater degree, when we are able to emit self-love, we see that reflected back to us in our lives. I think one of the biggest deficits in this world right now is lack of self-love. Because if you don't have self-love inside you, you cannot give out love. Therefore, you cannot receive love. Realizing it in my own family that it all really stems back to lack of love. Lack of trust in the universe, lack of trust in yourself. And with spewing all that lack, you will only get more lack. Lack of food, lack of love, lack of abundance, lack of joy. You must find ways to show yourself that you love yourself, to honor the co-creator within you, your uniqueness. As Abraham says, you've got to look at yourself in the mirror and like what you see. Once you can do that, things will change. What I'm going to share with you today are a few tools that I have used on my healing journey to bring in more self-love. But before I do, and also in between the tools I'm going to offer, I'm going to talk to you about the power of words through my poetry. This is called Decided. It's the stories we tell ourselves that matter the most. Each day, a rambling dialogue with ourselves, with our souls, cataloging our symptoms, our moments of feelings that become so much more when we give them a label, when we ponder and fester and focus on all that we never wanted in the first place, chains us to our stories, makes solid in our perception what was only lucid until we decided. And so this poem was really inspired by a realization that in my life, whenever I decided to go for something or do something, it happened. I would make it happen. It made it so just by deciding. So that really got me thinking about the word decision and how if I wanted anything to happen in my life, it always had to start with me deciding that it belonged in my life, or that I would go after it, or that I would make it happen. Once I decided to heal my life and to love myself, I knew there was no stopping me. This next poem was truly a revelation. The day I realized the connection between aches and pains manifesting in your body as being a message your body is telling you about some trapped emotion made me realize that it is all about self-love and that your health is truly about loving your body and loving yourself. I was also at the time on a mission to understand my parents, to understand their programming, and begin to make peace with it, because everyone does the best with what they have at the time. And once you have an understanding about someone's situation and their life scenario, once you truly have looked into why they do what they do or why they did what they did, it makes it much more easier to not only understand them, but to accept them and forgive them and be able to meet them where they are at with no judgment. But realizing that hurt people, and by no fault of their own, if you do not have love inside, you cannot give love. Poem for Revelation. Health is equivalent to the amount of love we hold inside. When I emit love towards my jade plant, it grows plump and shiny and deep green. We are meant for sharing love, sent with love to share, because it is what we have inside, or at least what we came with when we arrived on this planet. Then perhaps slowly doled out all of our love, drained without replenishment enough to sustain a base. So I am here to be a collection unit, love distribution center, helping heal by choosing with my ability to decide. It is a choice to be hopeful or fearful, trapped in duality or pleasantly persuaded towards greatness. Tool number 1. Changing your subconscious programming and beliefs. Changing your programming is easy. The first step is knowing that you need to. We all get our programming and our subconscious beliefs from birth to 7, and I dare to even say back further from when you were in the womb. This is where all of your beliefs come from. So as I started to sift through my life from a fetus through age 7, it began to make a lot of sense to me, the programming that I had. Now, this isn't something that you're going to change overnight. This takes listening to subconscious programming, it takes practicing new words. It takes a lot of practice. It's not something you're going to change overnight. It takes a lot of practicing new words, it takes listening to subconscious programming any chance you get. I like to listen to it as I drift off to sleep, and I like to have it playing throughout the day or night while I'm doing chores or while I'm sleeping. Especially when I'm sleeping, because then my body has no resistance to it and it is able to rewire my beliefs quicker. I recommend finding some subconscious programming recordings and listening to them for at least 21 days to fully integrate and change the beliefs that you have. I'm currently listening to one on self-love. See me afterwards if you would like help finding subconscious programming recordings to listen to. But there are many resources out there, and you can find subconscious programming tapes on just about anything: overwhelm, fear, releasing anger, releasing lack. But they're very powerful to listen to. This next poem was really just kind of a pep talk to myself about how at any moment I have the choice to step out of time. And I guess this poem is really about perspective and about my knowing that at a deeper level that I'm a multidimensional being having a physical experience. And that means that I have the power in any moment to use my imagination to create what I want to feel. And that I also have the power to connect to source energy from which I came from, even in my busy and hard moments. It's called Step Out of Time. Step out of time, out of responsibility, out of the busyness. Step into the shell of the reflection of you, the daydream life, the imagination cartwheel, tenderly stealing your attention. Stepping out of time for a hiatus, for a moment or two of basking in the oneness, the magnificence we know we are connected to, even if the dust is thick and our neck is crimped in silence. Tool number 2. On the pews, there is a card that is laminated that I put for you, and I'll be getting to that, but that's just kind of a guide for, if I had time, I would have put it up on the overhead, whatever, but it's kind of a helpful thing that I like to refer to, and so I thought I'd leave them for you guys. So tool number 2, nourishing morning routine. Grabbing hold of your mood or vibration in the morning before anything else is key. This is really the key to raising your vibration and to raising your vibrational set point. A nourishing morning routine is very important. Filling your morning up with self-love tools assures you of staying in a good mood or a high vibration for longer. Starting off your morning with a routine that honors you is the best way to begin. Each night when you go to sleep, it is a reset button for your vibration and a time for your body to reconnect and recharge with source energy. So if you had had a bad day the day before, you get another chance when you wake up. So the goal is to keep your vibration high at the beginning of the day and practice keeping it at love or above for as long as possible throughout the day. When I say love or above, I mean keeping your vibration at 528 hertz or above. If you're confused about what that means, I will show you the vibrational scale of consciousness shortly, which is what you all have. Eventually, with practice, you will raise your vibrational set point, and after a while, you will not dip down as low. The first part of my morning always starts with meditation, whether it is a guided meditation, a movement meditation, or just sitting there staring at the flame of a candle. There are numerous studies out there to speak of the benefits of meditation. For me, meditation was not easy. The day my Reiki teacher told me I could do a movement meditation, things really changed for me. Finally, I found a meditation that worked. I had actually been doing it for years through these Tai Chi animal frolics, but I didn't realize it or call it a movement meditation. Another great way to meditate, if you don't want to follow along with a guided one, is just light a candle and stare at it for 15 minutes, uninterrupted, just breathing. Again, it takes practice, whatever form of meditation you choose. I recommend starting out small with 15 minutes a day of meditation in the morning and adding another 15 minutes in the night before you go to bed. The key being meditate before you do anything else, even before you get up and make coffee or go to the bathroom. It is best done when you first wake up, when you are in that drowsy state called theta. Grounding. My morning routine often includes getting my body on the earth in some way. The earth offers such healing energy that we can tap into with shoes off or bodies on the grass or dirt. I find that if I wake up with some type of ache or pain and I go to the earth and I lay on it and I ask the earth to take my pain away, she always does. Another part of my routine is grounding myself on the earth. I find that when I do this, I tend to have a better day. Not only is it just time to connect with nature, but when I say grounding, I mean I envision deep roots growing from my feet, wrapping around the center of the earth. It is also a good time to get centered in my breathing. For example, I like to envision breathing in the light and out the dark. I envision a scoop coming in and scooping out any dense energies I am holding on to, then watching them flow out my mouth as I exhale. I also speak my intentions for the day at this time. Intentions and affirmations are so very powerful. The reason they are powerful is because we are all co-creators on this earth. As Neville Goddard says, our imagination is the creator in us. Intentions. Dr. Emoto proved the power of intentions many times over with his experiments on water, proving just how powerful intentions can be. You can write your own intentions, and for me, they change weekly and daily. But one of the intentions that I like to say each day is, I intend to stay at love or above today. The frequency of love is 528 hertz. If you check out the vibrational scale of consciousness, you will see that love is a very high vibrational emotion. And when you stay there long enough, that is where you can manifest the life of your dreams, hear your intuition better, and receive guidance from the divine. This is where you are in a flow state and synchronicities and miracles happen. So my number one intention is, I intend to stay at love or above today. The other intention that I like to state each day is, I intend to thrive in all areas of my life. Some days I may intend just to have a joyful day, or to stay in the moment more often, or intend to be able to pivot with gratitude whenever needed with the help of my angels and guides. Whatever your intentions, stating them out loud is a very powerful and wonderful thing to do to start your morning off right. After all, the majority of your body is made of water, and as Dr. Emoto proved, we can have a dramatic effect on the cells of our body just by our speech. Gratitude. One of the most powerful and quickest ways to raise your vibration is through gratitude. The third step in my morning routine is writing out my gratitude. Each morning, I like to write out 10 blessings and why. This is a habit learned from doing a gratitude process multiple times called The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. This book is a 28-day process that transforms your life with gratitude. First, I write out my blessings. I'm so thankful for blank because blank. And then I go back over them, put my hand on my heart, and feel grateful for each thing separately. By the time I am done with 10 blessings, I am in a flow state and feeling great. Even adding one of these things into your morning routine can really help. Slowly practice adding these in and set small goals. Sometimes it is also really important the things that we do not engage in right away in the morning that keep our vibration or mood the best. For example, I never check my email in the morning unless I am in a really good mood and know that no matter what comes in, it will not take my joy away. Or as another example, not calling someone who will be upsetting to you until later in the day when you've had a chance to really nourish yourself. It is also important to have the discernment to know that you may not be in the best headspace today to make a call to a certain person, and that's okay. And that you can try again the next day when you're feeling good. As Abraham says, feeling good is the work. Feeling good is the work. It's soothing your vibration, soothing your mood into a good place. Sometimes for me, it just means not thinking about certain things that I know will upset me and taking it slow to just focus on being mindful and staying present, not dipping into the past and not worrying about the future. Again, for all of us here in the 3D world, it is remember, forget, remember, forget. But the more we practice living with more joy and love in our hearts, the better off our planet will be. Now I'm going to read you a few more poems. This poem was inspired by thinking about the frequency of colors. And then I thought about nature and trees and how when you're out in nature and trees, it's very healing. And then I thought about the greenness and that you are in when you're out in nature and how it must correlate to the green that represents your heart chakra. This is called the vibration of green. The plants hold me in their fiddlehead spiral hug, their green heart glow, connecting the green of me to the green of them, gently tucking us into our lives, into the peace that plants hold. The grass seeps a steam up through my feet to soak upward. My bones are nourished by the vibration of green, the knowing of peace, the fullness of green. The plant's love surrounds us, and we don't even know it. This next one is called Potent. This was also kind of a pep talk to myself. This poem came to me when I was hurrying about and realizing that everything seems so urgent, but really isn't. Potent. Drop the urgency. Ask your smile to forgive you and start to feel the pulse of your own heart. This next poem is just a reminder to me not to take life so seriously. It's called Glow. There is a phoenix in my chest, smoldering with disgust at the seriousness I have given my daily day, earthy breaths, sparking my inner innateness, alerting me to the fact that this game is a lot like playing with embers, trying not to catch a singe, but instead respect and appreciate the glow. Tool number 3, finding ways to raise your vibration. Or in other words, staying in a place of or frequency of love instead of fear. I believe there are really only 2 emotions, fear or love. When you are leaning towards the fear side, you are out of the stream of infinite love. Now I want to talk about ways to raise your vibration. No one way of raising your vibration is right for one person. There are many ways to raise your vibration. There are many things that raise your vibration. Reiki, Epsom baths, Qigong, to name a few. Another way to think of it is elevating your mood to a different radio station, a different frequency of feelings, to love, peace, and harmony. Since everything in this universe is made up of energy, so are we. From the foods we eat to the music we listen to, everything has a vibrational frequency or a vibration. So then your next question might be to ask, why do I care about my frequency? As I said earlier, it really has to do with staying in a happy mood or a high frequency mood, love or above, because then you will not be attracting more things that cause you to have a bad mood. The longer you practice staying in good moods and at those high frequencies, the less you are able to get into the lower vibrational frequencies or moods again, or at least not stay in them as long. So here is the map of full consciousness that I handed out to you. You can see that the lower dimensional frequencies of shame and despair are categorized as victim abuser consciousness. Then we move up to our self-empowerment or reactive self, on up to self-realization, where we are then merging with and receiving information from our higher selves to guide our lives. As you can see by this map, anything at love or above is heaven. I love this map because it illustrates how humans have the ability to live in hell on earth if they want to, just from our thoughts and behaviors. Some of the ways I've found to raise your vibrations are really simple. The number one way I like to raise my vibration is through appreciation. I call it pivoting with appreciation. Let's say you just got off the phone with someone who made you very angry. Just stop, put your hand on your heart, close your eyes, drop into that heart-brain coherence where you slow your breathing, hold your heart, and just think of something that you appreciate or love for 5 minutes or less. This immediately raises your vibration to love or above. According to this article published by the Moravian Manor for their families on the importance of daily gratitude, it states, gratitude vibrates at 540 megahertz. Being grateful falls on the same level as love. It is one of the highest vibrational frequencies you can be at. The more time you can spend in gratitude and love, the more your body's frequency raises and the healthier your body becomes. You also have more energy, happiness, and fulfillment. This article was published November 25th, 2020, and was posted for family wellness at this Pennsylvania Assisted Living Center. It goes on to say, what is energy? Energy is everything, literally everything. Whether it be a human, plant, chair, or thought, everything in our existence is part of an interconnected web of electromagnetic vibrational frequency. Some people refer to this as a life force. It is the energy of you that makes you vibrate. These vibrations are the oscillating movements of atoms and particles that you are made up of. Even solid objects like tables are actually made up of microscopic vibrating atoms that receive, store, and emit energy. All humans and objects have an energy field that has its own vibrational frequency, or how fast those atoms and particles are oscillating and vibrating. This is measured in Hertz units. If an atom is vibrating at a faster rate, it would be considered a higher frequency, One that vibrates slower is considered lower frequency. Understanding the difference is important to understanding how they interact and how they affect your health. According to the work done by Bruce Tenio, a researcher from Tenio Technology, a normal healthy body resonates at a natural frequency of 62 to 75 megahertz. When frequency drops to 58 megahertz, the disease process has more ability to take hold. The higher frequency we can get, the better. Another way to raise your vibration is taking Epsom baths, putting 2 cups of Epsom salt in your bath and soaking for 20 minutes and then showering off. Clears and cleanses your aura and can slough off any denseness that you picked up during your day. You could also receive a Reiki session. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Reiki, it is an ancient Japanese healing technique that clears your body of dense energy that you no longer need. Without clearing our bodies, and if held, it will eventually create dis-ease. You could also use the heart-brain coherence technique to raise your vibration, as it is a combination of appreciation and dropping you out of that headspace of your monkey mind and into your heart space. Tai Chi or Qigong is another way to raise your vibration. Also, using Om is another powerful way to raise your vibration. At any time, you can Om your vibration higher in a jiffy. Drinking water also raises your vibration. Make sure that it is water that does not have fluoride in it or other things that may not be good for you. Many places in the United States have forced fluoridation in their water, which calcifies your pineal gland and cuts off your connection to divine. Being hydrated is very important for your vibration. For example, if you drink a cup of coffee, you will need to drink twice as much water to rehydrate from the dehydration that coffee creates. Eating high vibrational foods is another way to raise your vibration. If you do not know about high vibrational foods, you could feel free to look them up online, but let's just say that processed foods are not high vibrational. Again, raising your vibration and raising your vibrational set point is a process that takes practice. But the more you raise your vibration, the better you feel, so it is very motivating. Speaking of quickly moving particles, this poem is about the change that happens continuously and constantly through vibration of our cells. This is called stability. Explaining to my disappointment that it doesn't exist. No outcomes are worth being attached to. These flickering particles are flaky and aloof. They shift and slide and trick my mind. The squiggles teaching how to not hold on to any of it. The way water is ungraspable unless you become soft and slow, cupping it to stay for a brief moment as it still moves, to drain, to change. Its movement never ceases. So I search for the stillness between the movement, the stability of the constant change, the accountability of the infinite vibration. This next one is called Poem for the Fearful. I wrote this one day when I was thinking about how cool it would be for everyone to not fear dying, because as a medium, I know that we never die and that we come again and again and that our loved ones are always with us. And so this was inspired by those thoughts. Poem for the Fearful. When we all learn, when we all know, there is no separation, no death, because we are always connected, always available, the energy of every being, the essence remains of each, eternally etched in the ethereal realms, floating on the dimensions we once were, never having left our mist, unable to leave, we are crocheted into the weave of all others. Tool number 4. This next tool I'm going to go over is a self-love technique which combines shamanic tapping and ho'oponopono. I like to combine the components of mirror work along with this technique. So I would be having you do this in the mirror, but since we don't have mirrors, we will just be doing it together, looking at each other. Now, ho'oponopono is an ancient technique that taps into the frequency of 4 phrases. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. The idea behind connecting with these phrases is to feel these phrases in your heart and to use that heart energy to forgive yourself and others. This technique can also be used to forgive others, but today we are going to work on self-forgiveness. The power of looking in the mirror and repeating these phrases on each of the tapping points is a very powerful tool, meant to tap into all the things that you may need to forgive yourself for and all of the parts of you you may not be willing to accept yet. Using this technique daily is transformative in forgiving yourself and bringing in more self-love. So I'm just going to have you follow along. I'm going to be tapping. The points are pretty easy to follow along with, but we will say the phrases together as we go. So we're going to start on this chopping point, the karate chopping point. I'm just go through them. So it's here, temple, eyebrow, under the chin, under the eye, under the nose, chin, collarbone, under the arm, and on top of the head. Okay, and so we'll go through them, and then so we'll go through all them. We'll say the phrases on each spot, and then at the end we will form a ball of energy, and we will bring it up over our heads, and we will say the phrases one more time as we bring it down and clear our energy and bring that to our heart. Okay. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Eyebrow. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Under the eye. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Under the nose. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Collarbone. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Under the arm. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And on top of the head. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Now rub your hands together. Just feel that energy in your hands, form that ball. And just sit with it for a minute and grow it with your breath. And then we're going to take it over our head and we're going to say those phrases one more time as we bring it down to our heart. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Sure, hold on just a second, Jerry. First, we're going to do this. We're going to ask for somebody to bring forward the baskets and do the offertory. I don't have the playing piano capabilities as much as Carrie does. Would you like to play the final song, Carol LSICC, when we get there? We're going to get there shortly. You're not done yet. Okay.
Thank you so very much, Source, for these wonderful blessings that we are receiving today. May each of us be filled with love, light, and grace, and may this church be blessed each Sunday.
Jerry has a couple of people he wants to have us pray for, so as soon as, yeah, Jerry, are you ready? You want to have some people to pray for?
I have a friend of mine who's very sick, who is having a fantastic time with his health. His name is Jim Arculary. Blessings for his healing, his light, his love, his peace and joy, and for living every day to the highest of expectation, of light, compassion, love, peace, and joy. Thank you all.
All right. Okay. So, the church affirmation, I just like to repeat the church affirmation. Okay, let's do it with enthusiasm, right? We totally accept the belief that God is in charge of the affairs and direction of Lake Superior Interfaith Community Church. We know that as our thoughts of trust and joyful anticipation join in harmony with the thoughts of all members of this fellowship, we attract the right ministerial leadership to our spiritual community, and we are grateful. Yay! And then, would you like to do a little benediction, or would you like me to just do the, okay. I wonder if she has that here. I'm always really bad with this. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And all is well. All right. And Carol Giesecke has kindly come to play our God Be With Us. It's on the white card, and it is in the book if you need the music with it. So let's sing God Be With You. Thank you.